Hey everybody, this is Darren Van Damme and you are watching Flick Connection, the show that helps you get more out of movies, and on the Flicks of the Week, I give you my top picks across all the major streaming services, as well as a theater pick of the week, a show of the week, short film of the week, plenty to keep you entertained this week. So let's kick this list off with my Amazon Prime picks. And this week, because it's October, I'm ready to start getting into horror. So KLOWNS from Outer Space makes my pick. I love this movie. This is one that every year when we have a Halloween party, I just throw it on the TV with no sound, because obviously there's music, and it's just visually entertaining. But even if you watch it, it's so cheesy and it's so self-aware. That's really what's important with a movie like this. Sometimes when they're not self-aware, it's really funny too, but this one happens to be really funny in the way that it knows it's making jokes and you can have a lot of fun watching it as a result. It's a cult classic. I know a ton of you have seen it. If you have not and you want to watch a really fun Halloween movie, it's hard to get much better than KLOWNS from Outer Space. And no, this is not all horror this week, so I'm also recommending The Great Escape. Now, this is a movie hopefully everyone has seen. If you haven't, you definitely need to watch it. But just a classic Steve McQueen war-era movie. It's an amazing prison escape movie, as well as just this great period piece. There's a surprising amount of action in it, including a motorcycle chase that it continues to inspire motorcycle chases in movies today. Just a must-watch for any movie fan if you haven't seen it. I don't get a chance to recommend old classics like this very often because the streaming services don't have them that often, but I've got one more that I absolutely love on this list. On Hulu, I'm recommending The Cooler, which is a really interesting William H. Macy movie. It stars Maria Bello, Alec Baldwin has a supporting role in it, and it's about a guy who is extremely unlucky, and old Vegas casinos use him as what is called a cooler. If someone's on a hot streak, they send him over because he's so unlucky he just kills the table. And this is supposedly a practice that casinos used to use. And aside from just good performances and good direction, the interesting thing about this movie is it's sort of the transition from the old ways of Vegas to the new, and sort of these two like ideologies butting heads. And the story is a great like framework for that, and this is just one of those like hidden gems that I found years back and really enjoyed it. If you haven't seen it, it's well worth checking out on Hulu. Also, for more horror, Evil Dead 1 and 2 are both on Hulu right now. Now, I do not have plans to give you a long list of Hulu recommendations. However, later this week, I'm going to be recommending 50. That's right, 50 horror films on Netflix. It's probably going to be split into two videos because 50 is just a lot to ask for one video. However, the Evil Dead 1 and 2 are some of my favorites, and part of the reason I love these two is Evil Dead 2 is almost a remake of the original Evil Dead. It just retreads it and does more with the special effects, and so they're great companions to each other. It's great to watch them together, especially when you know that the director Sam Raimi independently raised $1 million in order to shoot The Evil Dead, his first film. This movie made Bruce Campbell a cult film icon. It made Sam Raimi a very accomplished director to go on to do movies like Spider-Man. And both of these movies are a lot of fun. The first has much cruder special effects, but they're pretty good and they do work. And then The Evil Dead 2 just takes the same movie and just dials it up to 11. It's really great as well. If you've never seen them both, I recommend watching them both potentially back to back. On HBO, I'm actually recommending an amazing documentary created by Peter Jackson called They Shall Not Grow Old. Now, what this movie does is it takes old World War I footage and enhances it, colorizes it, modernizes it, and what that does is it allows you to see the soldiers as if they were alive almost today. It sort of brings them forward in time, and what that does is it makes them more relatable than just watching these old grainy black and white footage, because that just seems so distant. It seems like it's just from another time, and when new life is sort of breathed into that footage, it just really it makes it not just more visually striking, but it makes it more relevant to our time and sort of brings it up. It's just an incredible way to view this content. It's really, really impressive. I hope, even if Peter Jackson doesn't do it, I hope other filmmakers follow suit and do similar things with old archival footage, because it does help. It's kind of an amazing thing. On STARZ this week, I'm recommending my other classic, possibly my favorite. I'll go ahead, I think I can say it's my favorite Western of all time, Once Upon a Time in the West. This is the like apex of Sergio Leone's Western saga. This is where he hit his full stride. He did all the Clint Eastwood movies, which are all great. A lot of people love The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, which is an amazing film. I find this to be even better. The opening sequence is one of the greatest openings to a movie ever made. Yes, it's slow, but it is loaded with information. There's constantly something happening. It's beautifully shot, and it's an incredible story. And yes, again, slow paced, but full of information, and you're constantly getting bits of story without anyone saying anything. It's an absolute masterpiece. Watch it when you're in the right frame of mind, but I absolutely love this movie. On Cinemax, I'm recommending Prisoners, which has been out for a while, and I know it had a good following. A lot of people liked it, but this is from the same director as Blade Runner 2049, Arrival. He's currently directing a Dune reboot, and Prisoners it's way better than it appeared to be on the first viewing. It's so smart, it's so well put together. Where the camera's placed makes almost too much sense at times. The way the story's told, the way the story ends. I know a lot of people had problems with the way this movie ended. If you go back and pay attention to how the story plays out and who's guilty of what in this story, it is the perfect ending for this story. It's absolutely perfect, and even though they do leave you hanging, they gave you enough information to know what likely happens after the credits roll. But you have to pay close attention to this one. It's just a really brilliantly put together film. If you haven't seen it, it's a very, very strong recommendation from me this week. Now on Netflix, I'm recommending Taxi Driver because Joker comes out this week. That's also going to be my theater pick, and I got a special guest who has seen the movie that's going to give you a brief, no spoiler review in just a minute. But there's clearly a lot of influence on the Joker from Taxi Driver. It takes place in a similar time frame, deals with similar struggles. It's a must-watch. It's a must-watch before you go see Joker. Last week I recommended The King of Comedy. Those two definitely have influenced Joker very, very heavily. So watch those two. King of Comedy is on Amazon Prime. Taxi Driver is on Netflix. Check them out. Go see the Joker. In just a minute, I got a special guest. But before my special guest, In the Tall Grass gets released October 4th, that's this Friday, on Netflix. It's their latest Netflix original. It's based on a novella by Stephen King and his son, Joe Hill, and it's actually directed by the same guy who did 1922, which is another Stephen King adaptation. I thought he did a great job directing that movie. While I didn't love that movie, I thought he was really adept at adapting, ooh, that was hard to say, Stephen King's work. And In the Tall Grass really looks spooky. It looks like a great addition for October. Can't speak to whether it's good or not, but I will definitely be watching it this coming weekend. Before moving on to the rest of my recommendations, if you like this type of content and you're new, please click the subscribe button and click that little bell icon so you get notified when Flicks of the Week get released, as well as movies like the 50 horror films I'm going to be recommending later this week. My show of the week is actually Love, Death, and Robots. This show came out in a period where I was no longer doing Flicks of the Week. I watched a lot of it then and then sort of put it on the shelf, and I've just recently started to finish it. I'm almost at the end. And I really like this series. If you've liked my short film recommendations, Love, Death, and Robots is a collection of shorts on Netflix. They're all different lengths and they're all sci-fi. Some of them deal with sexual content. Most of them are fairly violent, but they're all very mature in their content, and they're all very different. The animation style is different on all of them. The content and the subject matter is different on all of them. I've really enjoyed it. While Obviously, every single one I don't love. There's plenty that I've really, really liked in this series. So if you haven't watched it yet, definitely check it out. And then as promised, a special guest telling you about Joker, a fellow YouTuber, Amanda the Jedi. She's got a great channel. There's a link to her channel in the description. Be sure to go check it out and give her a follow, give her a little Flick Connection bump after watching this video. But here are her thoughts on Joker.
Hey everybody, we're here to talk about the most anticipated movie of the year, The Goldfinch. Wait, I mean The Joker. So there are few movies that have as much controversy surrounding them as The Joker, but we're gonna push all of that to the side and just talk about the movie itself. And while it might not be the best movie of the year, it's definitely gonna go out being the most talked about. So laid out quick, the movie is pretty good. It's not perfect, it's not revolutionary, but it is a very enjoyable watch. But the thing that takes it from being like a pretty good movie and moving it up into the realm of something that's definitely worth watching is Joaquin Phoenix's performance. I know everybody's ranting and raving about it, but I'm here to tell you that the hype is warranted. His ability to lock you into his performance is astounding, and the soundtrack that accompanies it just amplifies it to the next level. Of every stage of him just slightly amplifying and amplifying, that soundtrack is there to match him, to match the mood, to build the mood, and just to increase the tension on you as the audience member. The movie definitely works better as a character study over an origin story, but they definitely try to throw that origin stuff in there. Now, the story itself suffers in a lot of areas from just some poor writing decisions, some poor plot points, and most of the people that aren't the Joker in the movie come across as a little bit shallow. But again, overall, it's something I definitely recommend. If you're excited for this movie, I can't imagine you not liking it, and if you were looking to reasons not to like it, well, you probably won't. Oh, and all the King of Comedy comparisons, totally accurate.
So thank Amanda for her contribution to this episode in the comments below. And like I said, check out the description and go check out Amanda the Jedi's channel when you're done with this video. Spider-Man Far From Home is the big Blu-ray release of the week. If you're interested to see it, you've probably seen it already. However, here's a little hidden gem. Luc Besson, who's most famous for La Femme Nikita, The Professional, The Fifth Element, has a new film that almost nobody's talking about. It's called Anna. Now, it's kind of a rehash of Nikita. It's a supermodel who doubles as an assassin. It's kind of well-worn territory, but if you're into it, it's really well done. It's not particularly original feeling because it's the same type of thing we think we've seen a bunch. In fact, it's very, very similar to Atomic Blonde. It takes place in the 80s. But it's got a John Wick feel to it. It's got real hard-hitting action sequences like this one. And again, it's not going to change the world or anything, but if you like that genre and you like movies like this one, this is a great one that has totally flown in under the radar. To tie in Killer Clowns from Outer Space, my short of the week is Kookie. That's Kookie with a K. This one's not gonna scare the pants off of you unless you're terrified of clowns, but it's kind of fun. And all month long, my shorts of the week are going to be horror focused because, hey, it's October. And then my video of the week is from yours truly. It's my review of In the Shadow of the Moon, which came out on Netflix last week. If you've seen it, check out my review, see if you agree with me. If you haven't seen it, it's a spoiler-free review, and I, just like everything here, I try to prep you for whether or not the movie's gonna be for you, or at least set expectations so you would enjoy watching it, maybe more than you would have without watching my review. And it's about 4 or 5 minutes, so it's a much more in-depth look than I normally give you in these rapid-fire reviews. As usual, let's thank the Patreon supporters. Here's everyone donating $5 and up a month. So if you want to see what it's all about, there's a link to that in the description. But I will keep making videos like this one as long as you keep watching them. Thanks for checking out this episode. Stay tuned for the horror recommendations coming up this week, but you will see me on the next one, which will be the horror recommendations later this week.